All right, hello guys and gals out there in the YouTube land and the four-wheeling world. I hadn't done a daggum four-wheeling video in forever, I guess. Yeah, well, it's because I probably hadn't been able to go do much four-wheeling, so, but yeah, or anything on a four-wheeler. Just want to update from our Grizzly. We got rid of it. Without going in too much in depth, it ended up being a nightmare. As they say, one of them that was built on a Monday, though, I don't know. But we ended up getting rid of that, and we ended up getting another four-wheeler. And like I said, this is mainly, the wife can ride this and ride her grandkids around and do work around the property, and we'll go on some trail rides, no big deal. And I always like to make sure our four-wheelers, no matter what we got, is capable of going wherever we go. Everybody knows me. I love the mud and stuff, but I don't, do nothing crazy. I don't bury them. I ain't one of them. These things, you pay a lot for them. You want to take care of them. So, that's me. That's just my opinion, my preference. Real meticulous about things. So, but anyway, I'm doing the video on about the winch, the Badlands winch from Harbor Freight. I've never bought one. I knew they had some issues when they first started coming out, and but I decided to go this route, and I'll give you a couple of reasons why I did. But first off, on the Honda, we've had it a week as of today. 23 miles in, we noticed that we was getting a smell of gas 2 or 3 different times, and then the other day when I actually put the winch on, I seen it was dripping from the bottom right here around the center of the engine compartment from the skid plate. Now, with all that being said, I took it to Honda yesterday, got it back today. Kudos with them for that. They were saying I overfilled it, and it pushed gas back through the vent tube, which now your tank is a 3.9 liter tank. Might as well say 4-gallon tank is on these things. They're oddball shaped too. And now they put the fuel pump, because this is fuel injected, and the fuel pump goes into the tank, like in a lot similar to cars. So with all that being said, you've got one vent line that comes out, and that vent line actually runs, and I will show you if you can see this. Right there, that gray elbow shape running into the frame, well, that's actually the vent tube for your tank. And that's why I was getting the gas leaking out down there. I'm assuming there's a hole down there, or, a drainage or something right there where it can drain out if you have gas that goes through it or whatever. Now, with that being said, a whole tank of gas, though, was pushed out within 23 miles. When I filled it back up, it held almost 3.5 gallons of gas, and these are only a 4-gallon tank. 3.9 to be exact, from my understanding. So, still a little optimistic, but Honda said, hey, no gas leaks nowhere. They checked it out, no gas leaks. They were saying I overfilled it. You got to understand your tank is actually about right here. And if you fill it up into this neck, there's a neck in here. You can see the neck. They say not to fill up over that bar down there, to actually stay below that. Well, I was below that when I filled it up and took it to them, and it's still up above it. So, it was below it when I filled it up. So, hey, we'll see. We'll see. If that thing, there's no way it's venting through that vent 3 gallons of gas, because if that's the case, if it's venting it out, then we've got an issue with a pressure, that the pressure that the fuel pump is putting out on the tank. So, or either it needs a larger vent, I don't know, but we'll see. Like I said, Honda was real good about getting to it, and I'm giving hats off to them for that, and I got it back today. Now, another thing I wanted to point out when it come to hooking up the winch, which that's why I'm doing the video, the Badlands winch from Harbor Freight, on these 2022 models, and I think the 21s are the same. I think the 2020s might be the same. Don't quote me on that. They made it real simple. Take the seat off. This plastic comes off real simple, and you have access to everything. There's everything, pretty much your wiring harness, everything, other than up here for your radiator and stuff, which you can take that off and get to that too, and what other wiring you have up here. Other than that, they made things really simple. When they designed and redone this unit, it is simple to get to everything. If you're installing stuff like I had to, like, run wires for the winch, I thought I'd run my wires for my rigid lights, my rigid industry lights, and everybody out there, hey, I put them on the Grizzly back in, 14, still going strong, never had one issue, never done nothing to that switch, but zip tied it back onto this handlebar. So, for everybody that want to know about them, there you go, that's another video. You can see my video on them, and holding up strong, no moisture in the lights, nothing, as you can see, doing great, and I've not had one issue with that. So there you go. But yes, I just want to say again, hats off to Jamie, the sales manager over here at Honda Power Sports in our local area, which is Chattanooga, Tennessee. He done me good, got us hooked up, got us in the unit. And like I said, when this issue with the fuel, we will see, if they were right about this. I'm still a little optimistic about it, but we will see. But the unit's great. It runs good. It's my first Honda, I've always had either a King Quad or a Polaris, and I've never really had no issues with them. That Grizzly, I actually originally got it for my son, and it ended up being more of a nightmare than anything. We bought it brand new too. So I'm gonna keep my fingers uncrossed on these Hondas, because I'm actually a Honda fan. I just never been much on their four-wheelers. And I changed, we went a couple of different routes. We looked at a Polaris first, and back to the Honda, and looked at the Honda. And I was like, you know what, let's go with a Honda. Let's try them out, Like I said, this is more, it's going to be road, but then more for doing work around the property. So, but anyway, let's go back to the real video on the Badlands winch, the 2500 with just a remote from Harbor Freight. Now, as they say, the winch comes with your cable, your solenoid, and a remote. It does not have a rocker for your handlebar, so on this particular model. So keep that in mind. It does not come with a rocker switch. So if you're out in the field, and that could be an issue. Now, am I worried about that? No, because I actually got a wiring harness for a super winch at home that I can actually, I know how to hook that right up to this without a problem, and put a rocker switch if I need be. It does come with a remote. We've tried it. It all worked good after I hooked everything up. Now, like in some of the other videos I've seen on these, some people were talking about the wiring harnesses being too short, and I had some people say, oh, well, I had all this wire, but then they got an upgraded version of this, ZDR, ZXR, or something like this for 2500. Okay, I think it does. It comes with a handheld, and I'm not sure if it comes with a rocker switch. I think it did, but you still get a remote with it too. Now, I don't know if it comes with a rocker switch, but I know it has a handheld. I could cure, really, the handhelds. Some people, that might be something they want. Me, no. Personally, I don't care about the handheld. Never hooked them up even with the super winches. But anyway, I did find out that the wiring is too short. When it comes from your wiring from your cylinder, which I'm going to show you. I'll see them two screws. That's with the hardware kit from the winch. There's my solenoid. I hope y'all can see that. It's right there. There's my solenoid for the winch, and you can see the two wires, the red one there and the black one. Now, I've got it run up and over across the back of the radiator with a wiring harness and down to the other side. I'll show you the other side in a minute. But they only give you, I think it's like 16 inches of wire there. Maybe even, probably not even that much, probably 14 inches or a foot. So I ended up having to go to my local Lowe's. I bought 3 more feet of wire, which ended up being perfect to run to the other side. And let's show you the other side real quick. I brought it in right there. There's my overflow tank, my expansion tank for my radiator, and I brought them in. I just run them behind them, no stress, nowhere. I zip tied off right here. Zip tied them together, and and that wire's a little thicker than the cable that comes with it. And I was able to bend them in, form them in, so they're out of the way from, debris. And there you go. Zip tied them together and up behind the radiator, and good to go. But I had to get 3 more feet, and I had to add them on, and I did it right. I actually, put my wires together, heat shrinked around them. I actually put a little dielectrical grease inside that just in case. It was probably not needed, but just in case I did that. And then I run my wiring straight down the side with the wiring harness all the way back and hooked up to my battery. So there you go. But I will admit that they say with these, the wiring harnesses, they just barely give you enough wire. If you're just going under your seat, you're fine with your cables running to your battery. It's just in the front. And I've seen people hook these up and leave them wires hanging. I'm like, no, this got to be done right. And to me, I'm one of them. I like to do stuff right. I don't want stuff hanging down and all that. So I did it right. Another thing, the fairly rollers that come with your... Now, this is a KFI plate. Honda even uses these. They keep them in stock. They have them for wearing, and they have them for the Badlands winch, and I don't know what other winches they might have them for, but I know they have them for these. Now, if you're going with a super winch, because Honda usually puts a worn winch on theirs. If you go with a super winch, you have to buy the super winch plate. The KFI don't have that for them. You have to buy the super winch plate to use the super winch on this unit. So make that a note if you're a super winch guy like I am. And I could have went that route. I would have paid probably, I think it was altogether, it's probably about $250, $60. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try one of these Badlands winches. They've come a long ways, and they're supposed to be a sealed unit. And like I showed you where my solenoid is mounted, I actually even sealed around the seam of that and where the rubber grommets and your lines come out of it. I put some gasket sealer around there, just for my satisfaction. So I do advise that, because you'll either have to do like I did. You'll have to either add more wire if you're going to run it back under your seat. You have to get more wire. And I figure, well, right there under that fender will be just fine. I'll just seal up these wire hose where the wires come out of the solenoid and seal them up, so I don't have to worry about going in there and replacing them relays. The Fairly rollers, the one that comes with the kit, does not, with your winch, does not... like I've seen in a couple of videos, it is a smaller deal. Now, I had a couple of these at home, brand new, and from other winches that didn't get used, and I was like, well, I got one that'll fit right on here on this KFI plate, perfect. So I put that on there, and I used their boats still to boat it on. So I didn't use the winch, the boats that come with the winch, because they're not a stainless, and these are. So there you go. Is a little tricky. You do have to drop the bumper, as they say. You know, you unhook it here and here. You know, a couple more bolts down here, drop that bottom skid plate. Now, you ain't got to take that bottom skid plate all the way out. You just take the 2 bolts off the front and 2 on the bottom, let it drop down. You're just fine. Took it off. You have to mount the plate, mount your winch, and then put it back up in there. So that, I think you'll spend more time doing that than you will anything else. Other than that, you know, we run it out and everything worked fine. The little remote, you know, you power on, you hold it a couple seconds, powers on, a couple seconds, powers off. If you forget to turn it off, it supposedly in 2 minutes it shuts off itself. So to keep that in mind. But yeah, we're going to try the Badlands winch, and like I said, you know, it's going to get, you know, it might not get used much at all. But I'm a firm believer in having it, whether it has something. I'd rather have it and not need it as to need it and not have it, and then I'll use it on the property. So, you know, it's no big deal. I just like having them. I like for a 4-wheeler to be complete. You know, that's to me, that's a necessity for one. And now every day, everything you buy today is an accessory. So, like with the 4-wheeler, let's go back to the 4-wheeler. I don't know why everybody else out here, usually on all their 4-wheel drive units, from Polaris to, I think, Suzuki and Yamahas, everybody gives you an accessory plug, power plug. Not a cigarette lighter, people. A power plug, you know, like for me, to have the radio box on here. Or, for the biggest thing, is if you're out and you get a flat tire, you got your pump, you need something to hook that pump up to instead of having to go all in, get your battery, and have little battery clamps or whatever on some of them. Me, accessory plug is everything on a four-wheeler. You know, if you get a flat tire, you definitely want one, just like carrying a plug kit and a pump. So I had to buy that and put that on. They only come on the Foreman and the Rubicon, so everybody, but they don't put them on the Rancher. And this is the IRS, the Independent Rear Suspension Rancher, power steering, automatic or electronic shift, you know, four-wheel drive model, but they do not come with a power outlet, and these do not come with the diff lock. I would have thought by now they would have thrown these on here. It's a 420 still, and that's one of the most popular models with a Honda too. And personally, they could have put a diff lock on here. You know, not just the Rubicon and their Pioneers and their Talon. They could have put them on here. But, you know, hey, it is what it is. Other than that, like I said, the winch, we'll see, wherever, when I get in a situation where we need it, we'll use it. Maybe it's working around the property or whatever. I don't know what else I can say, too much about the winch. I mean, there's a lot of videos out here, so I'm not going to bore you with all that. Everybody just seen, I just want to show you how I run my wiring. Like I said, I showed you the other side, and you can see where I run it up through there, and right behind the radiator with the other wiring harnesses up there. Nice and neat, tucked away, and I got my solenoid right here. Could I put longer wire? Yes, and move this somewhere else. The only problem is the only place I could have moved it is all the way to the back. And that's in the storage compartment back there, and I wasn't going to put it back there. So, the only thing I got really back there is I run my little pigtail for my battery tender out back there. So, I always put a battery tender on them. Other than that, yeah, that's about it. Like I say, I wanted to just say kudos to Honda making these. I really loved how they made these really simplified where you can, do things without having to take you forever to, you got to take this piece off, that piece off, blah, 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 and then all this just to get to that. They made it pretty simple where you can get to this. All your electronics is up here. Everything's right there in the top, up high, real nice. Something that I might do later down the road, because I've done it with all my other ones, is my vent lines. And I might do that. I wouldn't say it's too much later. My vent tubes for my differentials and stuff. And the deal with the gas, again, like I said, that one vent, it was using gas. I don't know if I mentioned that already, but there's your vent tube right there. This gray tube, if you can see it. And it runs into the frame. So that's where your tank, gas tank vents, is into your frame there. So I might end up taking all the vents on this thing. I think there's like 5, maybe 6 vent tubes. I'm not certain, but I'll find them all. And I might just vent everything up to right here. So don't have no issues with dirt and stuff getting in your vent tubes for your differentials and all that. Because I have seen that before, dirt getting in the differential tubes, blocking them up. I've just seen that, and I've never had an issue like that, but I have seen other people that are diehard, really hard mud fans that, they get down in the stuff. I mean, that really, 4 years from now, they're getting rid of the unit and getting another. Well, me, I like to keep what I got. If it works, I keep it. But anyway, there you go. Hats off to, like I said, Jamie and them at Honda Power Sports over here in Chattanooga. Hats off to them. Really good, and their service is good. And another reason I wanted to mention, I don't know if I mentioned it, another reason I went with this, Honda, I got 6 years warranty on this thing. And the way he explained it to me, it literally covers everything other, brakes, tires, things that you have to replace. It covers everything. So I was real pleased with that, and figured, well, let's try it. If I'm going 4 years strong and never an issue, then, I make it to 6 years and I start having a problem with something, I feel like, we did pretty good. But yeah, we'll leave it at that. Like I said, the video too, other than the four-wheeler, few interesting notes. The lights still going strong. They were on the Grizzly. I bought them in 2014. Still going strong, almost, 8 years now. And the Badlands winch will be my first Badlands winch. And Like I said, the wires are short coming off the solenoid to the winch. Me personally, like I said, I went and bought more wire. So you might want to think about that, depending on how you run yours and what you do, how far you are from your battery. You know, all that's going to have factors. What kind of space you have. Could I mount it? That was another thought. I was going to mount it right here, this little dry storage box. I was going to put it in there and mount it. I was like, well, I could put it in there too. And but I didn't like the idea really making the drain. There's a drain plug in here you can pull out, making that hole bigger, running my wires through there, because wires on that solenoid come from the bottom, and then you got two from the side, and then running them down in there and getting a grommet, and then I just didn't want wires running down, looking where you're looking right in there and seeing that. To me, that just looked tacky. So I run it the way I did and around with the harnesses and made it nice. So anyway, there you go. There's my little review so far on the Honda right off the bat and the Badlands winch. So thanks for looking.